The problem is a lot of what's pleasurable is unhealthy and actually makes us miserable in the long run. And we become a slave to that dopamine hit. And we all feel it because we all sense that urge to pull out our phone in line, in conversations, in the middle of a conversation we're having with someone right in front of us. Most of the time, we pull out our phone without even thinking and check the latest news feed. But that is the compulsion. That is the addiction. That is the cigarette smoker pulling out a cigarette. And it's so easy that we don't even think about it. And it becomes more common than smoking cigarettes. We are spending 8 to 10 hours a day these days on our phones. And it was made so much worse during the pandemic when that was all there was to socially interact with people. And if you are using social media mindfully, if you are in advance planning time you'll spend on social media and not compulsively checking it throughout the day, if the people you follow and the news feed that you've curated is bringing you positive information that makes your life better, if it is giving you wisdom that you can apply to your life, then it is a wonderful tool and incredibly powerful for helping us become more mindful and to become wiser. But if that feeling we get when we pull out our phone is rage, or we are compulsively checking our phone throughout the day and it is diminishing the quality of time we have with the relationships with people right in front of us, then it can do real harm. Then it can really take over our lives, and we live in a constant state of escaping the moment. We are comparing ourselves with others, and these algorithms are really great at serving up content that just makes us mad, furious, angry, judgmental, critical, negative. And if we can become mindful of this, if we can use social media mindfully without losing ourselves into our phone, without going down a spiral of hours checking posts or crafting posts or being displeased with how few likes and follows we get, then it's going to make us miserable. And so it's one of the most important things we can do is to be mindful of how we are feeling and of the fact that we are creating this feeling because we have control over what we do. And for some people, a digital detox can be a very powerful way to reset our dopamine levels and to rebalance ourselves. Because what happens as we chase dopamine is we may have dopamine levels that are normal, and then we do something fun and exciting and they go up. But then when it comes down, it goes below our baseline. And that's okay if we give ourselves time to recenter ourselves and recharge. But if we're constantly checking social media or constantly giving in to any addiction, then the dopamine goes up, we crash, and we're below baseline. We need some more dopamine, so we do that behavior again, and it brings us up a little bit, but not as high as that first hit, and then it comes back down even further. And as we can see, it just gets lower and lower, so that it doesn't even bring us joy, whatever the addiction is, and we're just doing it, trying to get to normal, trying to chase that first hit of dopamine, and never getting there. So a digital detox can be a really great way to get back to our normal levels of dopamine and serotonin and all those happiness chemicals. Because what happens when we're on our phone and we can just pull up whatever we want, and the algorithm's going to show us the thing we love the most or the thing that gets our blood boiling. But it will begin to make us very irritable and short-tempered and impatient because we have these instant gratification devices in our pocket. And that can really hurt our relationships, and that can isolate us to the point where being with human beings, being in real relationships, which can get messy and won't always be the most entertaining thing we experience, suddenly those seem dull and we want to live in our phone. And taking a break, or if you can just bring mindfulness into your social media usage, if you can be aware of the pain it's causing yourself, and if you can be aware of the harm it's causing your close, true relationships, then we can keep that phone in our pocket, and we can intentionally bring it out, and we can intentionally find things that add meaning and value to our lives. The algorithms, the news feeds, they play off of our curiosity and our desire to be constantly entertained. And they can really hijack our decision-making process because they know human beings are curious by nature. Human beings like to be entertained. But this hyper-stimulating, fast-paced, always refreshed newsfeed can make the beauty of the world right in front of your eyes seem invisible. And it's really important to do a little bit of an inventory where we check in with ourselves while we're on social media and while we're not. And we really reflect on, what have I really seen on social media yesterday that I remembered? Did it add value or did it waste my time? Do I even remember it? Because we all know that most posts we'll forget about and never remember. And so it's really just a brief moment of pleasure at the expense of our lasting peace and happiness that we don't remember, that doesn't add value, that is just noise that we are contributing to in our mind that doesn't serve us. And so, we don't have to know the latest meme that we'll forget tomorrow. We don't have to follow the horrible news stories that captivate our attention like a train wreck. And we can, just like we wish for our mind to focus on more positive things, if we do that with our social media, our mind will naturally follow. And so we need to be aware of what we're putting into our mind, just like we try to be aware of what we're putting into our body. Because this is really one of the main causes of mental health disorders, is what are we feeding our mind? Is it organic or is it riddled with preservatives? And the same thing goes for our mind. We can give it time to reflect, time to find peace in the present moment. It's always there. Even in chaotic times, under the surface is peace. We take in what's around us, but how we respond, whether it's with stress, or whether it's us putting too much pressure on ourselves, or it's responding in anger, it's not the external situation, it's the internal situation that creates that environment within us. And so we need to be very mindful of what we're consuming. And even if we think it doesn't affect us, it is still coming into our subconscious. It is still coming into our unconscious. And if we can become aware of that, even if it's subtle, we can recognize what is making us truly happy and what is making us suffer. And if we get to a place where being without cell phone service in a forest becomes unbearable, we've really lost our connection to nature, which is also the connection to ourselves.